can definitely see the nuance on things like abortion. Of course I can. And of course I would never be for late-term abortion. But we were the party of legal, safe, and rare. And
Right.
I could argue barbarisms that have occurred due to forcing women to go to different states and just a host of evils there that's so deep on both sides. And babies being born alive from botched abortions on the left, you are forced to pick an evil. But I refuse to say that I agree with anything he did there. I don't. But if I am forced to pick an evil like you're saying, okay, do I want a child being aborted in the 8th month? Of course not. But if I had my druthers, I would like to see some federal protections for women up to a reasonable point. And I'm certainly no
Sure.
expert in this category. And I get what but that is the problem, right? Is that you are now looking at a scale of issues that you don't like on either side. And the left, for me, is no longer the left. It's like, it just, here's the left, bigger, bigger, bigger problems. And the right seems to actually be more moderate, more welcoming to gays, more welcoming to people with differences of opinion on their side, more willing to have these conversations. And I want to put my tin hat on here for just a moment.
Yeah. Wait, can I just say something quickly about
Please.
abortion? Because I can see that's an important one to you. And I would say, listen,
It's
I'm
tough,
begrudgingly
Dave.
yeah, it's super tough, right? I'm not a woman. I'm never going to have an abortion. I don't believe that your politics should all be based on your immutable characteristics. We should all have equal opinions on things. But I can understand why this one is so important to women, right? But I would say, look, and I wrote this in my first book, there should be some negotiation about when, look, unless you're going to have a complete
Rules.
abortion ban, which I'm not
Rules.
for a complete abortion ban, obviously.
Yeah.
So then let's say 12 or 14 weeks might be the thing that most people can agree on. I'm actually completely fine with that. But the reason that I would argue, and I think you disagree with this, which is fine. The reason I would argue that the reversal of Roe v. Wade was the just thing is that what Roe v. Wade did, it had nothing to do with whether abortion was legal or not. It made it a federally guaranteed right. And that the only things that are federally guaranteed are things that are in the Constitution. Everything else is sent back to the states. So again, as someone that is begrudgingly pro-choice, abortion is not in the Constitution. It was supposed to be sent back to the states.
I don't want
And look,
other
I live
people
in Florida.
voting on my right to
No, I
marry
get
my
that.
wife or my daughter. God forbid she does get pregnant at 17 and this happens and we are responsible. Ideally, she'd be on birth control. It fails through birth control. Ideally, we'd get the morning after pill. Maybe she didn't realize it got through the IUD. Now we're 3 months and she's found out she's pregnant and she's 17. I want my child to be able to make that decision. Now, if she
Sure.
got past that, it's like, I agree with you. It's somewhere in that there's a continuum here of 9 months that we're working with, and there should be a cutoff without question, in my opinion. But I don't
Sure. So
want somebody making that decision for me.
Right. So in that, look, you're taking the old Democrat position, which I
Yeah.
think most people think is the rational position. I would say, I think maybe the one thing we're slightly seeing differently here, and again, that's fine, is that to me, if you reverse Roe v. Wade, you actually allow more choice into the system. I'm not for. So the one disagreement that I think I have politically with DeSantis, who again, I just told you is by far the best governor in the country, is the 6-week thing. He did the heartbeat bill. And I was actually at an event with him. There were only about 100 people there. It wasn't televised. Before he was able to, it was before his reelection. So before he was able to put the heartbeat bill in. And he said that it was his personal belief, and he's been voted in as the chief executive, and that if he gets a second term, he's likely going to go for it. And that's the thing. So in Florida, I don't think Florida should be able to pass a law that would stop someone from leaving and going to get an abortion in California if they needed it. So the point is, I just believe in as much choice as possible. That's the purpose of the laboratory of democracy that these 50 states are. Some states have high taxes so they can put a lot of money to education. Now, ironically, usually that leads to pretty poor state-run education. Some states have, 8-month abortions. Some states have 6-week cutoff. All of these things allow for the constant tinkering of the best way for a society to work. And you have to decide what place you want to live within that system. If you think 8-month abortion is the most important thing, I'm not talking about you, but if someone listening to this thinks 8-month abortion it is far more important than immigration, it's more important than foreign policy and everything else, then move to California.
And freedom of
If you think
speech.
that law and order is important, if you think that lowering taxes and not having income tax so people can build businesses and have more in their pocket to spend, well, then I would say move to a place like Florida. If you're somewhere in between on all of this stuff, maybe Colorado's right for you. But that's a beautiful thing because in France, you don't have that ability. In England, you don't have that ability. In Canada, you don't have that ability. So I believe that we have the right system in place. We just have a lot of bad actors within the system.
I will never agree with you on handing it to the states. I have seen so many horrible things happen to women in those particular situations, being put in that position. And then you're also seeing it lead to women being forced to have even later term abortions because it's like, I got to get the money to travel out of state, to leave my home, to get this procedure and have no one to take care of me. Like, I can't go there with you on that, but I would say that's
Sure.
okay. And
Yeah.
I agree with you on most things. But this is something, shifting gears on you one more time. I want to go a bit deeper down the rabbit hole on something that I don't even think you would follow me this far. So when we look at back to kind of the censorship free speech conversation, you're seeing things like the Hunter Biden laptop and the Facebook files and the Twitter files where you've got the Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels.